Respected Mr. Rajesh Agarwalji, Secretary to the Ministry for which we are holding this event, Mr. Lav Vermaji, my senior colleague from the service and whom I had the opportunity to know while you were in Mussoorie, Rakesh Vaidji, Kalraji, Guptaji, Dr. Jitendra Agarwal especially, and Sandeepji, and all my dear friends. It's a great pleasure to be talking about this very important subject on how do we enhance inclusiveness through a local, global kind of context. So it's both global as well as local. So how do you merge these two on a subject which is quite complex and is quite an important issue to reflect on. There are three things which I would like to emphasize. Firstly, we have a fortune of having somebody who has worked on IT enablements as a secretary to the ministry, which deals with persons with disability. Rajesh Agarwalji has done commendable job in the past in UIDI, as well as many other IT enablement in his state also, as well as at national level. Now we have something new which is coming up globally, and many of you would have heard it. It's called the generative artificial intelligence. And there is a huge scope to use this generative artificial intelligence to the context of persons with disability or differently able persons. How do you empower them? It's based on large language models which are trained. And if you reflect on it carefully, while today we have many products that's coming out since last November 2022, the products for persons with disability is also increasing. So for example, we have a lady who is using hand signs. There are now apps like VSign and Sign All, which can actually create avatars that even while I speak, actually creates hand signs and makes life much easier. And it can convert hand signs into English language or could, on real time, convert that into any language that you want. So that's a very powerful tool to be using. And I'm just giving one example of its use. There are many, many examples across the world now on how different institutions are trying to adapt this new technology for the purpose of persons with disability. I'm particularly emphatic on this particular technology because just like internet in 1990s was a general purpose technology. General purpose technologies are those which, when it starts, actually changes the way civilization interacts. So this generative AI is also supposed to be a general purpose technology. From here, and as per the reports of Goldman Sachs, by 2045, the manner in which the world interacts will actually change. And the same way from 1990 onwards, and those of us who have lived pre-internet know what I mean, pre-internet, how we communicated, and post-internet, how we communicate is like two different worlds. And this is a change which is coming in, and it's very, very important that right up front, just when we are entering that stage, we begin to take advantage of it and convert that to our needs. And for differently abled, it's going to make a huge impact because the productivity, which is what it changes, would multiply many folds. And that's something which we need to, I think, look at deeply. The second thing which I would request Sarthak also to consider, given that we heard of young people asking about jobs, is the connection that one could make with global database like ONIT. ONIT is a global database of jobs across the world. There are 52,000 different job roles across the world. Now, there could be hundreds of attributes which are needed for doing that job. For each of them, some of them will apply, for others, some will not apply. Now, an individual, whether he or she is suitable for a particular job or a range of jobs, can often be very accurately predicted if you had a psychometric tool linked to this ONIT database. So making this kind of connect, which is very simple given the technical capacity Indians have and have shown globally, to make or create insights which could be useful for youth, including youth who are looking for jobs and are differently abled and therefore are aware of their lack but are not aware of their strength. There are strengths that they have which they are not aware of. And those strengths actually can relate to jobs out there. So for simple example, if somebody is in the autistic range of disorder, he or she could be excellent for medical transcripts, a medical transcript technician. That's a kind of job which actually is highly paid. A lot of this can be done remotely, and is good for people who have a certain spectrum of disorder. And therefore, there are many others, like visually impaired people could actually be excellent broadcasters. So I think giving that kind of insights to parents as well as to children is really going to help them. And that's the second thing which I wanted to emphasize. The last thing is the potential for entrepreneurship. I personally have a friend, a family friend, who has been differently abled from very early. We know him for almost 30, 40 years. And though initially, as is the general societal kind of thinking, that many people felt that he perhaps may not do as well, actually today he is one of the best performing among all of us. He turned out to be an entrepreneur, and his entrepreneurial ability is so phenomenal that he was awarded by his university, LIT in Nagpur, as the jewel of LIT. So he was specially awarded that, as somebody who is exceptionally talented. And it's very important that we create that avenue, because while there could be limitations that disability brings, there would be strengths. And I think creating platforms for impact investment, checking out whether there is that entrepreneurial streak in that person, and then how do you support that entrepreneurial streak with the help of government. Government has many programs, plus institutions like Sarthak, which does phenomenal job in India, and I've actually worked very closely with them, so I'm aware the level to which they go to make things happen. So this is the third thing, where creating impact funds which are targeted straight away towards persons with different ability and seeing whether they can actually scale up their business is the third thing which we should reflect on in today's world. I'm very thankful to Sarthak for inviting me. I've been associated with them for quite some time. I know their job quite deeply. And they are very, very inspiring when you look at things that they've accomplished. And hats off to all of you. Thank you very much.